Welcome to the Saturday Sports Line. Since 1969, the premier sports show about local high school sports, featuring coaches, players, and special guests. Now, here is your host of the Saturday Sports Line, Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI Sports Director, Mitch Columbi, and sports analyst, Chris McGowan.
And that will be the end of another historic rivalry matchup on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Another one for the archives. My goodness, 30-22 is the final as they beat the Culver Cavaliers here in the final regular season game of the 2024 season. We welcome you to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, October 19th, 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central, wherever you are. Good morning. This is your wake-up call. Mitch Columbi, along with sports analyst Chris McGowan, back in the house. What's up, Chris?
Not much. You sound a little subdued this morning. You're not your boisterous self. What's going on? You sick over there or what?
You're calling me out already?
Yeah.
It was a late night last night. You're lucky I'm here, buddy.
we don't want to bring that back up.
We're making it happen. You just heard the final call. The South Central Satellites squeak one by against the Culver Cavaliers, 30-22. I said it on the air last night. That was the best game of our season. I mean, quite frankly, it's been a rough season for us in terms of good games, either blowouts or third quarter starts the running clock. It's just a tough season this year we've had. But last night, it provided us the most excitement we've had all season. I've been waiting.
Maybe it's me.
Maybe
I wasn't there last night. Maybe Matt needs to fill in more often.
Well, we had our buddy Matt Ketchum all the way from Rushville, Indiana. He filled in for Chris McGowan down on the sidelines.
Just call me Wally Pip.
Just call me. Well, we were so excited to have him on the air.
I know the story. I'm a baseball guy. I know the story.
Well, it's good to have you last night, Matt. We appreciate you being here, a Rushville alum. The Rushville boys were taking care of you. You know, we had John Thompson on the call. Our in-game announcer, we got him on the line. We called our other buddy, Tanner Hedrick. He gave us the big score update for the Rushville Lions. They became conference champs last night, 58-0 over the Greensburg Pirates.
Are they slowly becoming a football school down there at Rushville? They're known for basketball.
Well, we'll take it easy. We're working on it. But Matt here, appreciate you being there last night, man. What a lot of fun. You saw the best game of our season. What did you think of last night's game?
Yeah, it was a really good game. You made it really easy for me to do what I was doing. But, yeah, it was a fun game. It was an exciting game. Second half was... Yeah.
Well, time out. What did he do different for you that he doesn't do for me? Because it's not easy.
I'm just saying he makes it easy for somebody that doesn't know what they're doing to go in there and do it.
Yeah, I feel like
if you know what you're talking about.
Well, I feel like I'm carrying him all the time. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah. Well, we're transitioning. We're phasing you out, Chris. It's we're slowly retiring you.
Give me some more time. That's fine.
I'm just kidding. We love Chris McGowan. He couldn't be there last night. I
definitely don't do this for the money. I know that.
And I said it on the air last night. I said, when Chris McGowan comes to you and says, "I need the night off," you do what he needs because you've done so well for us over the last several years.
I appreciate that.
And I mean that. So wanted to get my buddy Matt on the call. It was an opportunity for us to do a game together. Of course, Matt played football at Rushville, but he's been keeping an eye on all of our area teams, and one of those area teams is the North Judson-San Blue Jays, undefeated regular season. Another one for the books there at North Judson-San 60-18 as they beat the Pioneer Panthers on the road. They're in the pit. That's a tough game.
It is a tough game. Hey, was the bonfire going behind the visiting crowd last night? Did they have the bonfire going?
I saw the lights up back there. There had to be a fire. I never turned around and looked, but yeah, I'm sure it was back there. That's a nice part of the atmosphere there.
Right. Hey, you gave up 18 points. The natives are probably getting restless over there in North Judson. Is Coach McGowan okay?
Coach McGowan, well, is his job safe? Absolutely. But is he okay? Well, I don't know if he's ever okay.
True.
To be honest with you. But no, I mean, they came out and really got after us. They run their stuff very well, and we expected that. But yeah, they gave us some things that we can now look at and see it on film. And I thought our kids responded well, but they definitely gave us some not even looks. They just ran their offense the way that they run it, and their quarterback Rands is really slick. He's a smooth kid. He does some things really well. I think it's Van Meter. I'm so bad with names. 22 at fullback. It was awesome for them. They had some guys defensively that got after us. So no, they've improved a lot from day one this year, and you expect that because they only got like one senior that plays. So they got their future looks bright, but they're pretty darn good right now too.
60.
So that's sorry, but that's a possible regional opponent, right? With the way the things shaped up with the draw.
I mean, we're not trying to overlook that sectionals,
but I'm just saying, looking down.
But
the road,
it could be. They're the draw that they have. They're going to play the winner of two undefeated teams. So Carroll's going to Frontier. So yeah, they're going to play the winner of them, and I it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Pioneer came out of that sectional, and that's not putting down Carroll or Frontier. It's just that I think Pioneer's pretty darn good. So yeah, they played really well last night, and even though the score is 60-18, but I think at one point it was 24-12, then it was 32-18 early in the second half, and then we just kind of took off from there. I mean, we had I think 8 possessions on offense. We scored all 8 times, but we had to work for it at times. There was a couple fourth downs we had to get, and some big third downs. It wasn't like we were just going all up and down the field, but we still had 462 yards of offense, and just had 3. Out of our quarterback, couple running backs. I think Josiah, I don't have the exact stats in front of me, but he was like 160 yards rushing. Wilcox was over 120, and then Benson only had 90-something. So we almost had 3 guys with 100 yards rushing. We threw 2 passes for 62 yards, completed both of them to Wilcox. So we had 400 on the ground, 62 in the air. But Pioneer had like 240, I think, of offense. I mean, and for us, and that was other than probably the Knox game, that was the most yards we've given up. So yeah, it was. They're a good team. We knew they would be. They're very well coached. Coach Barry's been doing it well for a long time. They made us definitely think a little bit and strategize with what they're doing on defense, and we're happy to get the victory and have an undefeated regular season and outright conference championship. That definitely feels good here. In October.
Yeah, 9-0. Are the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays this morning. We look around our other area schools. The Knox Redskins go 6-3 on the season as they beat Bowman Academy last night 61-6. The West Central Trojans in their season at 6-3, beating North White on the road. We were there for that game last year, Chris, where North White beat West Central. That was for a conference championship. This year, not the same story, but West Central gets revenge on North White 26-14. And then the Winamac Warriors, this will be an interesting one to break down with head coach Josh Burgess. 3-0 at halftime. Caston led. Winamac comes back to win that game 16-11. They end up their season at 4-4 on the year. We remind our listeners, week 2, they did not get that game in against Frontier. It was unfortunate. They weren't able to reschedule that game, so that is why they end their season at 4-4. But yeah, we talk about the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. Another undefeated season, Coach. It sounds like you're happy, but you're not satisfied quite yet.
No, I mean, we're definitely not satisfied because, conference championships are definitely nice, but that's not what we play for. It's all about the playoffs. But we'll definitely take it. I mean,
Sure.
We're not going to, be upset with, having a perfect regular season, but it's the regular season. So there's a lot of football hopefully left for us. And, we got to just make sure we keep getting better and just keep the kids involved mentally. I feel like maybe, they probably need to do a better job. We have Huddle, that's where the film's at, and, we can log how many minutes they're watching. Had fall break this week, and I don't know if their mind was completely on, Huddle and what they're supposed to be doing.
It tells you how many minutes they're on.
Yeah, we know how many minutes, each player.
So you can just press play and set it on the bed.
They could do that. You're right. You're right. Gosh darn it, will you quit saying that? Don't.
Thanks, Mitch. You just ratted them all out.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, everybody's going to have 35 hours of film this week, right. I'm sure. But But no, we coming on fall break, and Pioneer had fall break too. I felt like we did come out and play well. I'm not using that as any sort of excuse, but I'm actually happy with how we performed. But we got to step it up, because there's other teams that can knock us off, like I've said all year. So we got to be on it. And like in our sectional, I mean, we're definitely the favorite for sure. But I look at a team like LaVille, who didn't have the greatest regular season at 4-5, but in week 2 they played us pretty tough, and we know that there's teams like that out there. And then you look at Chris brought up the other sectional that we would play for a regional game if we get there, and you got Pioneer, you got Carroll, you got Frontier, and then look at the other side of the state, there's some other teams. So we know that there's no guarantee that we're going to be spending our Thanksgiving weekend in Indianapolis. We got a lot of football to take care of between now and then.
Yeah, you do, and you see South Newton this coming Friday. They're 3-6 on the season, and a lot of people have talked. I read online where you guys are the favorites for the sectional. Do you like that?
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, we've been the favorite all year, in my opinion. Week 1 might have been a toss up, but we felt like we were the favorite all year. So. Yeah, I'm fine with it, and I think our kids have responded well to that. I don't think their heads have gotten too big, but again, part of it, you might want to the community. I just hope they're not always when they see our players like, oh, can't wait to state. And I hope that's not the message that they're getting, because it needs to be 1 week at a time.
Right.
Last night there's probably some fans like, what are we doing giving up points? Well, I don't know. We're playing a good team. What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you supposed to say to that? I mean, I don't know if that was going on a bunch or not, but I think we've set up an expectation right now that it's really big, and we like it. We enjoy it. I think the players have earned it, but we just need to make sure that we're keeping these kids focused on what the task is, and that's getting better each week. And at this point, winning each week. And it doesn't matter if you win, 3-0, or if you win 60-18. You're going to take that victory. You're going to move on, and you're going to try to get the hardware. And that's what it's all about at this point. So that's where I just hope the message into the kids isn't, oh man, I get my hotel booked. No. Because that's when you end up losing. Then everybody's looking at each other like, what happened? Well, because you weren't focused. That's what happened. So people need to be smart about how they probably interact with the players. That's kind of my message to the fans. It's about South Newton. Then we get past them, it's the next opponent, and that's the mentality the coaches take. But we only get them for so many hours a day, and the other messaging hopefully is the same there.
So let me ask you, athletes and coaches, we're creatures of habit. So you had fall break. What did you do to try to make it as normal as possible, because the kids aren't in class?
I didn't, and that's been my mentality all year, not to get into a routine. I mean, to be honest with you, I've always been a creature of habit, and this year I've kind of been like, no, we've mixed up a lot of stuff throughout the year, just with the mindset that you don't know what's going to happen in a given week. And so I don't want these guys in a routine. So I've gotten out of it. Like, we had a later Monday practice. We came right back Tuesday morning and had a practice. It was actually a shorter Tuesday practice than normal. Then we had regular time Wednesday and Thursday. But, we didn't bring them in for, a breakfast Friday or anything. I said, make good decisions and show up at the locker room by 3. I mean, that's what it was. And I feel like I can trust these guys to do that. But I have not. And the coaches know it, the players know it. I've been trying to do everything I can. I mix up our Thursdays. Sometimes we start in the weight room. Sometimes we end in the weight room. We've just been doing things differently this year. Because if we do get to Indianapolis, if we do get the ultimate goal, well, what time does that game start? 10 Central Time. So routines aren't going to help you. Not going to help you at all there. Right. And then what are you going to do? You got to get up at 5 in the morning and go, or are you going to spend the night before? I mean, there's so many options you have, but none of that's going to be a routine. So I've been trying to get these guys out of routines really all year, and I kind of
just to mess with them.
Yeah, a little bit, but just to see how they respond, and even myself, and I think that's a way of doing it. There's a little psychological thing. Don't get into a routine.
Don't get comfortable.
Don't get comfortable. That's exactly right. I think that's kind of been the thought process all year.
And we've kind of talked about that before. You almost get better being uncomfortable in the situation. If you're always comfortable and then an uncomfortable moment comes, you're not prepared for it. You almost have to thrive being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. That's absolutely true.
So now South Newton, what do you know about them?
Not much. I mean, we were worried about Pioneer, and again, kind of the 1 week at a time mentality. We got the film. We're going to have when I leave here, I'm going to go back to the coach's office. We're going to meet as coaches and get a plan together, for South Newton, obviously, but, what do we need to work on after the Pioneer game? Because there are things. And then that's nice. We weren't exposed in any way, but they definitely, and this is I'm so glad we played Pioneer last night before the playoffs. It's awesome because now we can get to film with the kids on Monday and rip them apart a little bit and be like, we're not as awesome as you think at certain things. We got to get better. And you're going to see it right here. And it's not just going to be a couple players getting, the message. Every dang player that's on that field was not perfect, and we're going to be able to pick that apart. And that doesn't mean we played bad last night, just that there's, things we can go over. But no, we're going to get better, and there's little things we need to work on. Like this week we worked on for extra time, our kickoff coverage team. We spent some extra time on that we haven't spent probably in weeks. We worked on recovering onside kicks with our front line and our hands team. Again, we work on that every Thursday, but we spent extra time on that this week. There's just little things that could be big issues in a big game if you aren't prepared for them. So we're trying to take care of all those things at this time and this moment and get better. Because, again, we're better than South Newton. We are. But it's not about just showing up and beating them. It's about how much better we can get this week, so when we play, hopefully, other teams, that we can take care of business.
So, talking about special teams, I got to ask, last night you went for two quite a bit. Have you gotten away from kicking the extra point?
I mean, if you really...
I'm putting you on the spot.
No, if you follow us all year, I mean,
right.
in big games, what I thought last night we've gone for two.
Right.
I think the fans think sometimes what's going on in the kicking game, but, we're working on the kicking game.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
But, Knox, we didn't kick an extra point, I think, to the last touchdown we had. And, that was a big game, a close one. LaVille, we didn't kick an extra point. We went for two every time. Last night, we were 6 out of 8 on 2-point conversion. So, kicking game's still there. It's still there, but... I like if you can go 6 out of 8 on 2-point conversion. That's a darn good percentage there. And if you go 4 out of 4, that's the same as being perfect on your extra points. Or 4 out of 8.
Right.
It's the same as being perfect on your extra points. So no, we still work on it. We got a kicking game.
Something else we've talked about with your team is you want to see passes on defense so that you can be prepared in the postseason. I was told last night Pioneer was able to get a 34-yard touchdown pass. So seeing things like that here later on in the season, are those things that you're happy you're seeing so that you can tighten them up here in the postseason?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we haven't, since McLaughlin, seen a quarterback that moves like Rands did for Pioneer. So that was great for us. And they really set it up to have him sprint outside the pocket. He has the option to take off and run or throw. And actually, we did that, and we've, with Josiah a couple times, and he ran one time and threw a nice pass the other time. So we kind of got the same concepts. We just haven't had to, I guess, use it very much. But I still feel like, because I think, look real fast. They threw the ball 9 times. They completed 4 of them for 62 yards. So, and for them, that's a lot of passing,
right,
like us. But I still feel like, especially at the end, their last 4 passes were incomplete. So I feel like they started off hot in the passing game, but then we adjusted, which was awesome. But again, you can't simulate what Pioneer does. Even though we got a great scout team, you can't do that in practice. So they got on us a little bit early, but we adjusted later on. And again, I feel like our kids, they played well last night, but I wouldn't say they played great. And I don't know, like if last night would have been a semi-state game, let's say we're in that situation, I don't know if we would have came out victorious just by how we were. So we got things we got to work on, and we know that at this point.
You have a little bit of a history with Coach Barry. You've played against him, I should say. What did he say to you at the end of the game last night?
Oh, there's not a whole lot said after a game, to be honest. I mean, I get along with Coach Barry very well. I actually, before the game, probably talked with him and another one of their assistants that I know, Coach Berkshire, talked with them for probably 20 minutes or so, which I don't usually talk to coaches,
right,
just so you know. But no, he's doing an awesome job, and I think I know just talking to him, he knows they've improved a lot over the year, and they probably, I don't know, we didn't talk about who we thought was going to win the game.
Sure, but did he wish you good luck in the rest of the way?
Oh, I'm sure not, because they don't want to. I mean, we can play in the regionals. I mean, I didn't want to say good. I was like, hey, stay healthy, but I don't want to say good luck.
Sure.
I'm wishing against ourselves on that. So I know I don't think he wants that. Neither do I. And I don't know who. I mean, if we're fortunate enough to get out of our sectional, heck, I don't know who I would want to see out of that sectional. They got some, especially them and Carroll, I think are the top two teams. I wouldn't want to play Pioneer again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're just going to, because their coaches are going to keep adjusting, keep coaching. So, and beating a team twice is not an easy thing to do. But no, there was no, I hope you do really well the rest of the year. There wasn't quite that going on.
It is interesting how many of our area teams are in this sectional 41. The West Central Trojans, the Culver Cavaliers, the South Central Satellites, the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. Also, LaVille is in that sectional as well.
And Triton.
No, Triton's.
Triton's not in this.
Triton and North Miami are really the favorites in their sectional on the other side of the state, so that they could be playing in a regional game, one of those teams. It would be pretty cool to see if we could get three. I did say this before the game when just talking to them. We could have 3 out of the 4 North regional teams. It could be HNAC teams, which would be a pretty cool thing. That'd be pretty special.
Well, I mean, to go 9-0, Coach, we talked last week. It's not the first time that it's happened.
So
but
it's the 8th time. I did confirm that.
So you did look it up.
If you want me to go back real fast, so we got most of it right, I think. So 2002 was the last one. Kevin Cox was the coach, and that was a really good team. 91 went undefeated. Then Radtke had 80, 84, 85, 86, and the 1970 team. So this is the 8th one there. So the history buffs, which I am myself, can appreciate that. But again, I'd rather, if I had a choice, somebody could say, hey, you can go 0-9 during the regular season, but win a state championship, or go 9-0 and lose in sectionals. I'm going to take 0-9 in the state championship every single time. It might not feel good for 9 weeks, but I'll take that trophy at the end.
I had a cousin that played at Northwood.
3-6.
3-6 going to the regular season, and ended up. Yeah, they had to win the semi-state to have a winning record. They ended up going on and winning the state championship. They upset Chittard in the state championship like 7-6.
And that same year, I want to say
they beat Griffith in the semi-state.
Yeah, and I want to say Lowell that same year was like 4-5 in the regular season, and they won a state championship, beat Roncalli.
Right,
they're either 5-4 or 4-5. So yeah, there's. I'm not trying to pump up the teams out there that don't have the best records, but anything can happen come playoff time. It's just, and that's where with us,
you get healthy and you just start playing well.
Yeah, absolutely, that's absolutely right.
Well, it's starting to get to be the best time of year for you, Coach. This is the best time for a football head coach. We're going to sectionals this week. Are you excited?
Oh, it's fun. This is what it's all about. You prepare for these moments, and. Yeah, then I think the kids understand that. We have a good senior class, and we just need to make sure we keep our heads on, make good decisions, keep taking the coaching, keep getting better. But yeah, this is the best time of the year. It's fun. It's fun for everybody in the state. I like the all-in, tournament. If anything, I might, go with maybe seeding the top 2 teams. But to be honest with you, I kind of like the draw and the anticipation of not knowing where you're going to be and all that. No, I really like it. This is what it's all about here.
And be thankful South Newton has to travel all the way to Liberty Field.
Yeah.
This is 4 out of 6 years we've played them in the sectionals, 3 years in a row, and luckily we've had 3 of those 4 games at home because we have gone there. That's a heck of a travel.
Trip.
So no, and round 2, if we get to round 2, we're going to be on the road, but it's only going to be Culver or South Central, which is a pretty short drive. So it's the draw for travel looks pretty good.
Right.
Well, congratulations to you and the coaching staff as well as all your players on an undefeated season. It's a historic mark for North Judson-San Pierre. We appreciate you coming in and talking with us. Good luck this coming week in the opening round of sectionals against South Newton.
Hey, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is head coach of the North Judson-San Pierre Blue Jays. It's Brynn Lambert here on the Saturday Sports Line. We appreciate him. The Blue Jays are on a mission this season, folks. We're going to keep an eye on them. You better believe it. Hey, cross-country sectionals is going on for our area schools. Good luck to all of our cross-country runners. Also, the semifinal sectional matchup between Culver and South Central. Yeah, another rivalry matchup between these two teams, this time on the volleyball court. It's happening this morning. Good luck to both the Cavs and the South Central Satellites. We're going to take a break and come back. Head coach of the Knox Redskins, Russ Radtke's in the house. Don't go anywhere.
One thing led to another, we were young, and we would scream together songs unsung.
And we have liftoff here in Union Mills, Indiana. Deep kick, and it will roll into the end zone. Not even giving it a chance was David Height. And the Cavs will start on their own 20-yard line. Booming kick there, Matt. McEwen takes the snap, toss out the Binion, cuts up the middle, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown Cavaliers! They score first. Ethan Binion up the gut.
Catch a pull and ride the track.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Browns. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392, the Stark County Co-op.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
You're listening to Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
It's on the 44-yard line, 3rd and 4, 1:15 to go in the first. McEwen double handoff again to Hyde up the far side, to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, 25 to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Cavs! It's David Height. Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. We're talking Knox Redskin football. They ended up their season at 6-3 on the year. They bulldozed over Bowman Academy last night, 61-6. We were told at halftime, Coach, it was 61-0. You put 61 points on the board in the first half. You got to feel pretty good.
I think it was 55 in the first quarter.
Jeez.
So it's the right time of the year to be playing football at Knox, and we're very aggressive, and our opponent that we went into just happened to be down this year, and but we're trying to get ready for this run right now. And when we're going to do that, we're going to be very aggressive right at the start.
Let's talk about Bowman Academy. Did you just have your way out there? Was it just a track meet for you guys, or did they provide anything that you haven't seen all season, or you just were prepared and you knew what you needed to do?
Well, I've always said here this year that this is a team that is resilient in the fact that if you beat us or do something to us, we're going to correct it. And you're only as strong as our opponent. And I felt that our 3 losses this year put some bitter taste in our mouths. And the coaching staff worked hard to get those things corrected. That's what you play the regular season for. And we did a lot of readjusting, and having lost to North Judson, and then the opportunity that we had to win there, but we didn't, and the turnovers. Then the Culver Military, a one-pointer, 47-46, and then last week being up 30-14 at half, and team coming out and hurting us with onside kicks and doing things that were very exciting for them. And we're going to work on those things to get ourselves better. And you give us a whole week of practice without any school, and you get ourselves ready we're in a tournament role right now.
Something you mentioned last week in facing Brynn, but also you've mentioned it several times throughout this season, Coach, is defensively. You said we've got to get the ball on. We have got to create turnovers. We've got to get some sacks. We've got to do things defensively to put the other team in a position to where you guys are in charge. What defensively are you hoping to see, or what did you see last night? Are you seeing any improvements defensively that you're wanting to see?
Well, we're getting more in a cycle of substitutions that bring us in down and distances and so forth, and then at the same time, you might not get the sack, but you got to put pressure on that quarterback. You got to make him have to throw it a different way. When you look in the college and the pros, they always try to make sure that quarterback has that channel that he can look through to see where his number one, if maybe two's at. If you let him have 3 or 4 choices, that's what hurt us last week. And that type of scheme came about. I believe we got 3 interceptions last night. We forced it into passing situations, and we picked off 3 passes, and those things are all exciting for fans. Oh, great crowd last night. You think when you don't have a school, your crowd could be low because of a large amount of people on vacations or gone or whatever. But just a fantastic crowd to honor the seniors and parents' night in all our sports, and all those things took place, and community was great for our base to follow, and we look forward to this challenge. But back to your question, I think they're young kids. Okay, you got to remember they're 16, 17 years old. They're always going to have something that's not 100% thinking all the time football.
Right.
Well, we got their focus right now, and I feel that they understand the importance of it, and that's why we went about this game last week a lot different than we did the week before, when we could have won the conference outright by ourselves. But we'll take the championship. And I really thank Brynn for, again, what they were able to do to us that create weaknesses that you always got to stop and prevent, because the other coach is watching the film and he sees where your weaknesses are. If you can exploit them, it's going to be major to their advantage.
Yeah, took care of business last night. You move forward to see River Forest. Real quick on the senior class, you had mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and correct me if I'm wrong. You had said this senior class is potentially the winningest class in football history at Knox. Am I correct in saying that?
I think they could have attained it with another victory or so during the regular season. So now these seniors have really got to get it done here in the next few weeks to get that accomplished. But yes, they do. They have that challenge ahead of them, and they have an opportunity to have come through. The 6 or 7 that we have been really playing hard. Some of them are in other adventures. Some of them are in the Marines already. Some of them are already in our band. But to find themselves there and finding ways to get to the practices and still being able to do those challenges, whereas their life cycle is a little bit different all the time. It's really different to see how they've gone from early summer to where they are right now. A whole different group of young men. There's no doubt about it. I go down find an alley with any of them. So we'll get out of there too. Whether we'll all be alive or not beat to death, I don't know. But I would go down an alley with any of them right now.
Wow. Yeah, you're in sectional 25. Several teams, Jimtown being one of them you face. John Glenn is in this sectional. Mishawaka Marion, Calumet. River Forest is who you're taking on, Hammond Knoll. And then a school you used to coach at, Griffith, is in this sectional. A little different look this year, but seeing River Forest this week, do you know anything about them?
Well, we've been pushed around to different sectionals all the years that the years I've been here already. Okay, I think this is our 5th, and this is our 3rd sectional that we'll have been in because of we're always in 3A right now, but you get pushed across the state how they're going to set you up.
I see,
and so 4 of them are from this area, as you stated already, and then the other 4 are up in that region. So. we're in a format of preparing ourselves for this is an away game at River Forest, and if things play out like they should, we'll be playing at home for the next two. So we're going to go at it, and I have all the respect for River Forest. Coach Hidalgo had coached with me for a couple years at Griffith, and then he also was an opponent of ours when he was at East Chicago. So he's been around, knows exactly what football is, and he'll prevent a formidable foe that we have to be ready for.
Yeah, we talk a lot about Miles McLaughlin. We talk a lot about Jake Conroy, but it all starts on that offensive line, Coach. Are you happy with what you're seeing from the offensive line at this time?
Not completely, but I've put a challenge to them to always find a way to get themselves in that position. I feel that a young man, Triska, who's playing both ways, but now is on our defensive front, and now he's in our offensive line, has taken on that role of Howard last year that I kept talking about.
Yep.
That really gets him into the right positions at the right time. And, easily last week, we had a touchdown that was taken back that should have won the ball game last week. But then we looked at the film, and, darn right, the referees are usually right. They really are.
They were right.
They were right. We had our numbering on our jerseys. We not forgot. There's no excuse for it. We did not have enough offensive linemen with offensive lineman numbers.
Oh my!
We had plenty of offensive linemen, but two of them had tight end numbers on.
Great.
And as a result of that official caught that. I don't know why it's so important that you can't do it. When you line up for a punt, you don't have to have any numbers right. So why
do you have it?
And then you could run a fake punt, which I know a coach did to us in the past 50-some years, and throw it to a center that was wide open for a touchdown. And he used to be at South Central, and then he was at LaPorte, so everybody could put his name together. But we always laugh about it, But you don't have to have legal numbers in a punt.
But you do.
But you have to otherwise. And I guess it's so that officials can find the legal receivers, okay? But we're not throwing the ball, so what the...
Right.
Hey, you got to do what the law says. The law says you're going to go 55 mile an hour in a 50-mile-an-hour zone, so you're going to run 5 offensive linemen. Doesn't matter where they're at now. You can have them in different positions along that line. But we didn't by the substitutions and the call that was made at that time. And the result is the official was right.
Yeah.
And when it come down to it, it had no effect on the play and the situation of wanting to score. And it didn't mess up what Brynn did, don't get me wrong. But the rule's the rules, so you got to abide by it. And we're preventing that from happening ever again.
I mean, you almost got to be really sharp as an official to catch that in the moment. I know you officiate basketball games. I know basketball, but to watch a football game, I feel like there is so much more you've got to pay attention to.
Well, that is a responsibility of the 5-man staff, the referee with the white hat. He looks at those numbers all the time. So he threw the flag immediately.
He saw it.
And we didn't, and we still didn't until we got home, watched the film, and he's right. He's right. The situation. So these are things like we're trying to say that we're going to coach and get better at and make substitutions and use the people on our sidelines to be responsible for that. It's a handicap as a result of it. And there's no excuse for it if you're going to say you're going to be a tournament run a team and we're going to keep getting better as a result of that. And then Brynn on their kickoff was able to get 2 onside kicks on us. We've already beefed that up situation or whatever that we were not anticipating. And you learn from your mistakes, but at this point you can't make mistakes. And this is why we're going to coach and The staff was working late last night, and we're already working on it. I don't have a lot to tell you about other than River Forest is a very, very formidable foe, and we will be challenged to making sure that all the different things have to be done offensively and defensively. But back to your original question, the offensive line, I'm very excited about being able to practice with them Monday and getting them on the sleds, and getting their legs going, and making sure that they're working as a unit. A lot of different teams and offenses do not have to have that scheme of all 7. Ours is very dependent on them working together, because if one of them does something a little different or off on his own, he can create holes, or he can create opportunities for the opponent's defense that could hurt us.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting that level. And like I said to him the other day, guys, we had practice and a linebacker got through or whatever, and I said, look, guys, I know you don't like the pass block. I understand that, but we have to do it sometimes. But you're so consistent, and you love the opportunity to dictate rather than to be indoctrined or whatever.
Right, yeah.
You want to know what you're doing, and you know what you want to do on offense. And if we can do those things together, it's very exciting. And that's why our backs, we got a back that's already close to 2,000 yards and another one that's only a few yards behind. We had an underclassman last night that popped through and got 100 yards rushing also. So we really try to make sure that JV as well as the varsity and everybody works together. And it'll be exciting, and we'll see this opportunity. We really hope that the crowd will get there. River Forest will have a fantastic crowd there at their place. They always do. They understand athletics and football, and they'll have their band and everything going. I know they will. But we get this one. We're home for the next 2, no matter what.
Another winning regular season under your belt here at Knox, Coach. Congratulations. You end at 6-3. Good luck this coming week against River Forest.
I hope the end of the regular season. When you said,
what did I say?
You said the end.
He always calls me out. You see that? What'd you say?
There's another adjective you have to put in there.
The end of the regular season.
There you go. Okay.
Another winning season here at the end of the regular season.
Okay. All right. We'll go with that.
There you go.
You got to go for it right now. I mean, every team, there's 64 of them, and it goes down to 32 fast.
Yeah.
And some of them are turning their equipment in next Saturday. And you're playing for the wood right now.
Yeah.
And if you want that chance at that, you got to go 100% every day.
Well, good luck this week in practice, Coach. We'll talk soon.
And good thing the IHSA abides by another rule, and that's that we don't get to practice on Sunday. So otherwise, I'd really be going at it this Sunday also. But the boys will enjoy the rest, and come Monday, they'll be ready to go.
Could you do a private practice? Can you do a private one-on-one,
With the coaches, they're going to be going hard all Sunday night.
Sure. That's allowed.
Yeah, that's allowed. Yeah. But I imagine the staff and some of the guys that are working with me are going to try to put that through the IHSA also, okay? I think there's a rule, and I got to find out about this too. I think they have ruled that in the tournament, and I thought this, I read this something within the last week or so, that you can't have drones.
Which is what you use.
And I would say that a lot of big elite schools, Ben Davis and Carmel's and all them, they probably had 3 or 4 drones. I don't know. But I understand. I thought that during the tournament run.
Yeah, no drones. I read that too.
You saw that too?
Yeah.
Interesting. So you'll have to take the poll.
Politics. Got to be politics. I brought politics up so far, okay, but somebody's running the show.
Somebody is. Calling the shots.
Or didn't get the money that they wanted from the be able to. I don't know.
But you still come. You still show up Monday morning. You're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to just be happy. Well, I'm going to be running around with a lot of cameras on a pole somehow.
Yeah.
That's
you figured it out.
We're adjusting. And that's why we didn't throw the old system away.
Right.
And that's why we still use it.
Right.
And if you see that on the sideline, on the end zone, that junior high staff of ours that puts that stuff together and brings it along, it's fantastic that we have that and still being able to use that. But that's one of the computer. What do you call them?
The iPad.
The touch screen.
I keep yelling at, where's your pad? And they must not understand what I'm saying. It's called an iPad?
iPad.
Okay, the iPad will not have that view.
Right.
Which I've been used to.
You like that.
Last week. So we'll adjust. We'll make something on the run, It's, the
it's better than the pulley system you used to use.
Oh, yeah. They run the flag back, run the card back and forth, up and down the wind. Or when you used to have a coach that actually, Hammond Gavitt had it. It was when I coached there for sure. They had a box on the light pole where a coach actually set up in.
He climbed up to the top.
Right. It set in this box that was on the light pole. And then, and I don't know what our headsets were, but he yelled out. I'm sorry. He yelled down half the time. And we'd be rimming back and forth. And that was a year we made a run to the tournament and got beaten in semi-state 14-7 by South Bend, Washington. And Beans Van Camp. That was probably back in 1974 or something like that. So, there's an era of change. And, we get a pigeon that can fly around with a camera on it. That's not called a drone, is it?
You can attach scrolls to it to give messages.
I was actually thinking he was going to get a bucket truck, NIPSCO, put that on the track.
You're giving him ideas now.
That's what they do in Rushville.
have somebody up with the bucket.
I know where there's one at. We'll see what we can get done between
There you go. The wheels are turning.
Figured it out. Hey, good job, Coach.
All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you much.
Big time win for the Knox Redskins as they beat Bowman Academy 61-6 last night, ending their regular season at 6-3. Another winning season for the Knox Redskins as they enter sectional play next week against River Forest. We are going to talk with head coach Marc Hall of the West Central Trojans on the other side. Don't go anywhere. This is the longest running high school sports show in Indiana. Out of the gun, it's Jonas McEwen going for two, takes the snap, rolls out to the far sideline. He's going to get rid of it at the last second, and they are going to get the 2-point conversion. Coming up on 3 minutes to go in the first. 6-0, Cavs lead. Rondo takes the snap, out of the gun, hands off Clayton Stroud. He's going to get it. Touchdown, Satellites. We got a tie ball game. Well, and just like Matt said a moment ago, trust the process, trust in your guy, Clayton Stroud. He drives it right up the middle like a big old Lincoln Continental from the 60s, baby. Clayton Stroud, the 2-point conversion, 8-6.
4, 6 long years. It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
One of our hometown businesses here in our area in Monterey, it's LAP Waste.
Being able to recycle is one of our main goals at LAP Waste. Being able to say that we only take about 8% of our trash to the dump is pretty impressive for us, and we hope to keep building on that.
We service an 80-mile circle from Monterey. If you have a small job, big job, or just have a one-time, we are here to make a difference in this area.
And that phone number, Kirby?
574-542-4019.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, agriculture has been a cornerstone of our business for more than 135 years. Our personal relationships within the ag community run deep for multiple generations. If you're looking for a financial partner that knows, understands, and supports agriculture, I'd love to hear from you. I'm Isaac Blue, ag banker at First Farmers. Come into our Knox, North Judson, or Culver branches, or visit us online at ffbt.com when you're ready to talk about growing your operation. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
So now it brings up fourth down. Unfortunately for the Satellites, the Cavs D stays strong. The snap, the hold, the punt is up, clean away. It bounces at the 33, all the way to the 25. The Cavs pounce on it. They didn't get it. The Satellites do. They say they have it, and they do. Clayton Stroud. Back for more from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios. This is the Saturday Sports Line. Big win last night for the West Central Trojans on the road against North White, just down the road in Monon, Indiana, 26-14. Of course, we were there last year for this matchup. Man, tough loss for the Trojans, but they get back at North White last night. They make it worthwhile. We have head coach Marc on the line. Big time win last night, Coach. It sounds like you said it got a little chippy there at the end.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a defensive battle throughout the entirety. It did get a little heated at the end, but luckily we were able to get out and not have anything get too out of control at the end of the game. But defensively, it was there were 6 touchdowns scored last night, and 3 of them were by the defense. We had 2 defensive scores, and they had 1 defensive score. We started off, I think it was like 3rd play of the game, 4th play of the game, something like that. We intercept the ball. Connor Huber intercepts it and runs down the sideline, fumbled at the 10, and luckily Dre Villarreal was right there, picked it up and ran it the rest of the way in, and so we're up early, 6-0, and then we forced them to punt again on their next possession. But unfortunately, we didn't field the punt, and then we went back to get it again and try to pick it back up, and then we got tackled like in the end zone and lost control of it, and they scored a touchdown on the fumble recovery in the end zone. So now it's 6-6, and then our next possession, we go down the field and we are able to score, and we take a 12-6 lead at the end of the first quarter. And then the second quarter, North White was able to score and made it 14-12. And then we had a 95, 94, something like that yard run. They got called back for holding, and it was questionable. It was questionable. I didn't think the ref that called it was in great position to call the thing, but they called it nonetheless, and there's nothing we can do about it. So halftime, we're down 14-12. Third quarter, it's a defensive back and forth. Neither offense is really doing a whole lot. And then the fourth quarter, we were able to get an interception by Felipe Bazan that sets us up. We're about the 45. They're 45 going in. And 2 plays later, Christian Hughes was able to pull on one of our option plays and runs 44 yards for a touchdown. And that put us up at that point 18-14. And then I think it was like 2 or 3 plays later, they throw a pass, and Connor Huber's able to, again, step in front of it, and this time he takes it all the way back for a touchdown. So returns back 40 yards, and at that point we had a 2-point conversion. That's the only 2-point conversion we made all night was that last one by Caden Gutwine. So that gave us the 26-14 lead. And then the fourth quarter, the rest of it, our defense just completely dominated. We were able to get a lot more pressure on the quarterback. We were able to stop the runs a lot better. At halftime, we told the kids, they aren't doing anything that we didn't think they would do. Defensively, they line up slightly different, but we just said we just got to make adjustments and talk about it. And we said offensively, it's just we got to tackle a little bit lower on them and keep following our keys. There's a few times that we just didn't follow our keys like we should have, and then that third and fourth quarter we did, and especially the fourth quarter, we really played really well defensively, I thought, and just shut everything down that they were trying to do. So I was very pleased with the effort in that fourth quarter to turn the game around for us.
Yeah, I see from the stats you sent, Christian Hughes was taking snaps last night. He had 46 yards through the air. I see he also had 66 yards on the ground. Pretty nice to see an athlete in Christian Hughes make things happen for you.
Yeah, it was his first game back for the year here, and it came at a good time because last week Addison got injured, so he's out right now, and so we went from one guy to another guy coming back. So Christian is a good athlete, and he does give us an opportunity to do some things that continue to do things that we have been doing this year. And it's unfortunate for Addison because he was really starting to get the hang of things. And with our offense, it is one of those things that it takes time with the option, be able to read things, and Addison was starting to really get a hang of it. But unfortunately, he did get injured, and but luckily for us, we had Christian come back and was able to step in there for us.
Yeah, we've been talking about Sectional 41 this morning already. A lot of our area teams are in this sectional. Coach, you take on LaVille first. We have seen LaVille. We saw them face off against the Knox Redskins. Not a bad squad, Coach. They're 4-5 on the season. That's where they ended their regular season. You ended at 6-3, another winning season. Congratulations, by the way, on that. But have you learned anything about LaVille yet?
We watched a little bit of film on them from earlier in the year, a game that we got, but they look good. They're fast, they're physical. They may have that record of 4-5, but they're playing in a league or a conference there that's got 2A's and 3A schools, so they play some big teams, and they're used to playing big schools, and they've had success in the past really about a decade, I think it is. They've had quite a bit of success, so they're going to be used to it, and they're going to be ready for the game. So we have to make a long trip up there. So we got to make sure we're ready. It's also our fall break, so there's all sorts of different odd things going on for that trip. Hopefully we are locked in and ready to go when it comes Friday night.
We've talked about this before, Marc, and Harold Welter had mentioned to me before, it's so refreshing to see you have such success. And, there were several years there. It wasn't the seasons that I know you had hoped for, but you stuck with it. If you had a message to maybe a couple of our area teams that are struggling the last couple of years, what would be your message or words of encouragement to the coaching staff to stay in there so that years like this can happen?
Just keep sticking the course. If you believe in what you're trying to do, just keep doing it. Believe with what you're doing and get the kids to understand this. Keep working hard. Eventually, things are going to start to go your way, and that's what we tell our kids before every game. Is we talk about the idea of we got to fight to the end, and if we just keep fighting, eventually things are going to start to go our way. And last night was a good example of that. Like things early and weren't going great, but that fourth quarter we finally turned it around. It's just keep pushing, keep fighting away at it, and eventually you'll get that breakthrough.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate your time. Congratulations on the win last night, 26-14 over North White. Good luck this coming week in preparation for LaVille.
All right, thank you. Have a good week yourself.
You as well. All right, that is head coach of the West Central Trojans. It's Marc Call here on the Saturday Sports Line. We sure do appreciate his time. We're going to take a break and come back. We're going to stay in Pulaski County and talk Winamac Warrior football with head coach Josh Burgess up next. Out of the gun, it's Jonas McEwen going for two, takes the snap, rolls out to the far sideline. He's going to get rid of it at the last second, and they are going to get the 2-point conversion. Rondo fires down the middle. It's intercepted by Jonas McEwen to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, to the 35, and he's pushed out of bounds near the 40-yard line. First and 10, McEwen from the Satellites 14 rolls out, fires. It's intercepted by the Satellites to the 15, to the 20, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, 45 to the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Satellites! Interception! It's yours all that breaks, 'cause the hope brings you back.
It's hard to believe, but time sure does fly by. Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox are celebrating over 30 years of taking care of all of your insurance needs in our communities.
If I could turn back time.
And we're not going anywhere.
Stop in and see Jim and the crew at Collins Insurance Agency in downtown Knox.
Insurance you can count on from a business you've trusted since 1989.
Proud presidential partners of Western Reserve.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
At First Farmers Bank and Trust, agriculture has been a cornerstone of our business for more than 135 years. Our personal relationships within the ag community run deep for multiple generations. If you're looking for a financial partner that knows, understands, and supports agriculture, I'd love to hear from you. I'm Isaac Blue, Ag Banker at First Farmers. Come into our Knox, North Judson, or Culver branches, or visit us online at ffbt.com when you're ready to talk about growing your operation. First Farmers Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal opportunity lender.
Listen for more insight in local high school sports on the Saturday Sports Line. Here's your sports director, Mitch Columbi.
Rondo from the gun, takes the snap, fires, intercepted by Ethan Binion to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, and he's knocked out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Another interception for the Cavs. Welcome back to the Saturday Sports Line, the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, thanks to our very own Harold Welter. Shout out to Harold Welter. Stay tuned for the Where Are They Now segment with him. You'll find out who he's talking with, and we'll find out where they are now. The Winamac Warriors pick up a win on the road against Caston, 16-11. We were given score updates, Coach. It was 3-0 from what I was told at half. Caston led. That second half must have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, it was 3-0 clear into the fourth quarter.
Oh, wow.
We came out. It was a little concern with us being on fall break. I heard Coach Lambert talking on the radio about routine and getting out of theirs a little bit. We were out of ours a little bit. We kept our practice time the same, but again, you're not around the kids. They're not in class, so.
Don't know what time they're sleeping in.
Yeah, who knows what time they got
yeah.
up, what was going on. So I thought we had a pretty good week of practice. We got things done, and we were concerned about just going over to Caston. Traditionally, that's a tough place for us to play. Kind of throw the records out. We'd beaten the same two teams in the conference, so we knew it was going to be a tough matchup for us. And won the toss, felt pretty good about that. First play, we fumble. Give them the ball, they get a little going, drive down to about the 10, and we get them stopped and force the field goal. So they got that in, and then just the rest of the half offensively, we just had trouble getting things going. And a lot of it was what Caston was doing. They presented some different fronts than maybe what we were expecting. It seems like they had a different front for every formation we came out in, doing a lot of slant and a lot of twisting, and our guys up front especially had trouble getting that picked up. We were able to start some drives on the 20-yard line, forced a couple turnovers, blocked a punt. So we had some opportunities in the first half we didn't capitalize on. But the same thing for them, too. They put a couple things together offensively. I thought defensively we hung in there and were able to keep them out of the end zone. So we could have been down by more than 3 at halftime, or we could have been up. So it was kind of a tail that half. But I was happy with our kids. We went at halftime and made some adjustments. And those adjustments, especially in the fourth quarter, paid off. We started running some of our stuff with no motion. I think that gave them a little bit of trouble, affected how they were slanting. Got Tierson Wolford involved. He ended up with 20 carries for 91 yards. Wow. He had both touchdowns and both 2-point conversions last night. So, but up front too, I thought we've got some things figured out, especially in the fourth quarter. So give our linemen credit. Also our wings with Addison Allen and Aiden Schooler. They got some things done in the blocking game and in the run game too. So, got some things to correct. We cut down our penalties a little bit, but still had 9 for 70 yards. Some just procedural penalties that we've got to get figured out and corrected if we want to have any kind of success in the tournament. But again, like I said, I think I was really happy with the resiliency of our kids, happy that we were able to make some adjustments and get those things done. And hey, we'll take the win, definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then let's talk about Aiden Schooler. The fact that he was the quarterback there for a few weeks there for Adriano while he was out of concussion protocol. And last week when we saw Adriano come in, Schooler, that didn't faze him. I mean, he took his new position. Is he is he a running back?
Yeah, he's a wing for us, and
wing
he plays a little receiver. And again, that's his natural position. We knew when Xavier was coming back that we would make that switch. So again, he did a good job stepping in for us in a spot that he hadn't before. But we're starting to get some guys healthy, some guys back, getting guys back in the positions they need to be in at the right time. So, we're feeling good about where we're at. Obviously, we need to have a good week of practice this week as we prepare for Taylor. But, we're getting guys back, getting guys healthy, and I think we're starting to get some things figured out here at the end of the season.
Yeah, you talked about Wolford, 7 tackles, 1 fumble recovery. Also, Schooler had a fumble recovery. Ethan Burgess, 7 tackles. Addison Allen, 7 tackles. I mean, you guys defensively have some athletes out there. We haven't really brought up Ethan Burgess. I mean, he had an interception 2 weeks ago against North Judson. He had an interception last week against Winamac. I mean, he's starting to play pretty good ball.
Yeah, he is. Had kind of a little bit of a rough stretch where I think he'd be the first to admit it. He didn't play as well as what he thought he would kind of mid-season, but kind of starting with the Judson game and going forward here the last couple of weeks, he's played really well for us. Again, you don't sometimes like your defensive backs leading the team in tackles, but both Ethan and Addie especially, and even Hayden Taylor, don't mention him a lot either. He's had a nice season for us. The plays they were making were up on the line of scrimmage, so they were getting downhill, reading their keys, and getting involved in the run game. So happy with that, happy with the way those guys are playing, and they're going to have to continue to play well for us as we go forward. Talking to Chris off air, I don't like the young excuse. It's not an excuse. Our younger guys now at the end of the season are starting to play better. Our front 7, 6 out of the 7 guys are either freshmen or sophomores besides Garner. And I thought Caston did a pretty good job. A lot of the stuff they were trying to do was away from Talon, which rightfully so. Talon's a good player for us. He is a good player. And even with some of the stuff they were doing away from him, he still had a couple big tackles for loss and was involved defensively too. So, like I said, I think we're making progress. I like where we're at, and we're going to have to continue to improve here this week, especially to get ready for Taylor.
Sectional 42. That's exactly where I was going. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jeff's going to ask, what do you know about Taylor? They're coming to Router Bush Field, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I don't think Winamac has ever played them before. I don't know a lot about them. We got the film this morning, but our focus was on Caston all week, rightfully so, but we're going to shift our focus here this morning, take a look at the film. I do know that they're pretty athletic. I think they had a kid at quarterback that's pretty quick. I think they like to spread people out offensively and get him involved. Defensively, they're going to be pretty aggressive. I think they're a 5-front, 3-4, 5-2 defense too, which actually we saw a lot of that with Caston last night. So that's going to help us a little bit, hopefully. But you never know. And I know too. I think they're sitting at 4-5. They've had for them a pretty nice season. They've had some success. They've kind of been up and down a little bit in the past couple of years, but I know they've put some things together. So definitely going to be a tough test for us. We're going to have a good week of practice. We're back in school off of fall break, which I like. It's just back in school with the routine there. So just need to continue to work on the things that we need to get better at and get ready for Taylor on Friday.
Yeah, you see Taylor also in the sectional 42. Tri-County takes on North White. Frontier takes on Carroll, Caston, and Pioneer. Several of those teams, you've played this season, but all things are about Taylor right now. If there's anything that you want to clean up or get better at this week, what would it be? Yeah, I think just the procedural penalties. Obviously, want to eliminate those going forward. We did put the ball on the ground a couple times last night. We need to get that cleaned up as well. So just those little things we continue to improve on, and just making sure that our mental approach is where it needs to be. Again, probably a little bit different. Obviously, offense we need to prepare for. Caston very run heavy with their kind of single wing attack that they ran, and they did a nice job with that last night. So we're kind of going back to another spread team. I'm guessing kind of some similar concepts, maybe what we saw with South Central. So again, we've got a little familiarity with that, but Taylor's probably going to present some different problems, obviously, than what South Central did as well. So. And you get to host this game.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
You don't have to travel.
Yeah, we haven't hosted a sectional game for a while, yeah, we're excited to be home, and we're just excited for the opportunity. This is my favorite time of the football season. Hey, regular season's important, and we got some things done there, but
everybody's record's 0-0.
Yep, 0-0, and I just love the fact that there's one of two things are going to happen: either you get it done and you keep going, or you come back the next week and you put your stuff away. So, that adds, I think, to the excitement and to the, the mental prep as well. So I've always loved the tournament. It's just, hey, you get it done, you move on. And if you don't, you put your stuff away and you start thinking about next season. So we're excited to be home. We're excited for the opportunity to play Taylor.
Yeah, you can be part of the half that gets to continue to practice, or part of the half that is turning your equipment.
Yeah,
so
you're exactly right. So we're looking to be part of the half that keeps going, but we're going to have a good week of preparation in order for that to happen.
Well, Coach, I sure do appreciate you coming in and chatting with us. What would be your message to Warrior Nation in hopes they're there in full force this next Friday?
Yeah, hey, tournament time, anything can happen. What else you can be doing on a Friday night? I think the weather's still supposed to be pretty good next week for October. So come out and we'll see what we got for Taylor on Friday night.
Well, big win last night, Coach. Congratulations over the Cast and Comets. Good luck this coming week.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, that is head coach of the Winamac Warriors. It's Josh Burgess on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk Austin Foust. We're going to talk with Austin Foust. The Culver Cavaliers up next. Don't go anywhere.
I gotta keep going.
Sets Bashinsky in motion, takes the snap, hands off to Bashinsky, sweep up the far sideline. There's Theron Carrington. He tackles him in the backfield. And there's our Energizer Bunny, Matt.
Yeah, once again, good pursuit. Way to break the block. Got to the ball carrier quick before he could get anything turned upfield. That was a great play.
I don't half-step because I know
is now Coke Zero Sugar with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news. Some were skeptical. So we're not going to have the star of the show you're watching come out and say, "You'll love it." No special jingle written by this week's hottest pop star. No famous internet celebs who happen to be holding the label just so. Okay, maybe just one little pour shot. The only thing that will make you believe Coke Zero Sugar has great Coke taste is trying it yourself. Ice cold Coke Zero Sugar. Try one today.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
One of our hometown businesses here in our area in Monterey, it's LAP Waste.
Being able to recycle is one of our main goals at LAP Waste. Being able to say that we only take about 8% of our trash to the dump is pretty impressive for us, and we hope to keep building on that.
We service an 80-mile circle from Monterey. If you have a small job, big job, or just have a one-time, we are here to make a difference in this area.
And that phone number, Kirby?
574-542-4019.
Let's continue the conversation with area high school coaches and more on the Saturday Sports Line.
Back in action, McEwen takes the snap, steps back, fires down the middle. It's David Height. He's got his man to the 35 to the 30, 25 to the 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Culver. David Height. Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. We are transitioning to talk Culver Cavalier football with head coach Austin Foust. Man, I said it earlier on the broadcast, Coach. This was the most exciting game of our broadcast season. I know it didn't end the way you had hoped. 30-22 was the final, but you see South Central next week for the first round of sectionals. Let's talk about last night. Man, it was back and forth. You guys did such an amazing job on the ground. We haven't seen you run the ball like that this season.
Yeah, we wanted to get outside. Thought maybe we had kind of a speed advantage. That maybe we can get outside on them, and in the first half, for the most part, we were able to do that. And we had two 200-yard rushers, and David Height and Berndt, and the first half, obviously, I think if you were watching the first half, you thought maybe, we kind of dominated the first half, and then you look at the score, and it's, tied 14-14, and, we had to come up with a big-time stop to even keep it tied right before the first half. We just made too many mistakes. We had a muff punt, and, then we have a bad penalty in the end zone when, I think we walk in without having to even block the kid in the end zone. And then, you give up the pick six right before half when you have a little momentum. And, you could never just pull away. We always kept them right there, could never get that score to go up 2 scores. And, you leave a team, any team hanging around. And, South Central's got, good enough athletes and things that they're going to make plays. And that's what happened.
Yeah, let's talk about the big play. We just heard David Height seam up the middle. Were you kind of holding on to that play, not really sure if you wanted to pull it out of the pocket and use it for next week, or was it just like, hey, we got to get something on the board here and go for it?
Yeah, it was, we showed that play last week, so that wasn't anything. We hit a touchdown on it to Caleb McEwen, against North Miami. So that's something that, South Central had seen. It was just something that, we had run so many jet sweeps and motions and things that the way they were rolling down, we felt like maybe we could, as long as we could do it early enough, I think we did on second down, to where maybe South Central wouldn't be sitting on the pass. And, we were fortunate enough to, sneak David out of there. And, Jonas gave him a good ball. And, obviously David's a playmaker for us. He's a kid that, again, this is his first year playing football since 8th grade. And, he's won over 500 yards receiving for us on the year so far. And, I think he's got 6 or 7 touchdowns. So, he's a guy that we want to get the ball. And that was one, obviously, down 8 kind of late in the game. I thought we could get a shot, and we did and tied it up. And just unfortunately, then we couldn't get another stop after that and gave up the game-winning score.
Yeah, another question I had was I didn't know what you had heard there at the end of the first quarter. The Satellites had that big pass play, and then there was some confusion to start the second quarter. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so that was it got called back, I think, on a hold on their big pass play. There was a hold on the they held David Height right on our sideline. Mm-hmm. And since it was the end of the quarter, there was one untimed down is why that was. So we played an untimed down, and then to start the second quarter kind of thing. But yeah, it was a hold on our sideline. But yeah, we just there's a couple times, right? We had some penalties and things like that, and we didn't take advantage. Still let them get first downs and stuff, and kind of again, you've heard me say it, probably 7 out of the 9 weeks maybe, but our just tackling wasn't great, especially later in the game. I don't know if it was a fatigue thing or a confidence thing, but we didn't tackle very well. And credit to South Central because they were able to run through our soft tackles, and ultimately that's what decided it.
It's an interesting scenario now, Coach. You're going to see them again next week, this time on your home field with a lot more on the line. It's win or go home. I assume you've saved some good stuff for us to see next week?
Yeah, I mean, like I told you on Wednesday, I think when you came out of practice, kind of like a playoff series.
Yeah.
Right? Their place, now it's at our place. And, again, it's a unique thing where you play back-to-back, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, it's still football, and this is one where, everybody's got to win no matter what. I mean, that's the thing. So yeah, I mean, there's maybe things we have, but again, both teams, I think we're far along in our season and stuff where, I mean, you're going to still stay based to you're true to your scheme and your base stuff, and maybe you have a couple wrinkles here and there, but I felt like last night it really just comes down to us executing and just not making mistakes and kind of getting out of our own way. And that was kind of the big thing in the first half. And then the second half, we start out defensively, play a little bit better. But offensively, we didn't come out. We didn't come out with the same, I think, energy, kind of blocking and things, and weren't staying on blocks as well as we were the other time. And you could see, South Central's confidence growing. And I don't know if we kind of went the other way a little bit. So, I think a lot of it this week is going to be, just on us. And again, we do get to play them again and get to see them. And, it's tough to beat a team twice. I mean, hopefully history repeats itself, and the thing that happened last year happens again this year where, they beat us last year in the regular season, but we were able to get them in the sectional. So, hopefully history's on our side there.
Yeah, you got David Height involved a lot. You got Caleb McEwen involved. Jonas did a great job finding his receivers. Also, Ethan Binion, what a great night for him on the ground. I don't know how many yards he ended up with, but it was a lot, Coach. But one individual I wanted to bring up on the air was the Energizer Bunny, Theron Carrington, number 1. Man, he is the smallest guy on the defensive line, but yet he plays with the biggest heart.
Yeah, he's somebody that all year long for us. One of the things you're going to get with Theron, you're going to get somebody that just plays hard and fast. And we started him outside at that D end a little bit, and and they were able to kind of run the ball. And that's one thing we didn't do a good enough job stopping the run, so we moved him inside, and I thought that kind of helped us quite a bit. He made some nice plays, just his speed and strength in there, and and one of the things that's what he does incredibly well, which, probably not many teams can count on is their nose tackle, defensive tackle can, run guys down on a sweep play or something outside, where you see a big play and you're like, man, who's that? And it's there and who's got to get up on the pile. So he's somebody that just keeps going and going and going for us. And, I thought he helped us in the second half. And, he's a guy that we lean on, defensively. He's a guy that we think's our impact player over there.
I mean, it's definitely obvious, Coach. If there's something you want to work on this week in practice and preparation to see South Central again, what would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just get out of our own way. Not make those mental mistakes, and we're gonna have to tackle better. And obviously, if you want to write the book, you didn't want to write it this way. They're gonna be jacked up, ready to go. And we're going to have to match their intensity at our place, and we'll hopefully our team wants to keep playing, and we can send South Central packing for the season, and we get another week.
Man, Coach, this is a lot of fun for us when it's a rivalry matchup, especially between these two teams. I know you're probably down on the sidelines pulling your hair out, but for us, from an entertainment standpoint, man, was it a lot of fun last night. I know it didn't go your way, Coach, but, you talked about limiting the big plays, and I thought defensively, overall, you did a good job.
Yeah, we did. And I thought, we didn't make too many blown coverages and things like that. I thought that part we did good. We just didn't stop the run. When you can allow a team to kind of be balanced as what South Central was, and give them opportunities where it's 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4, then Coach Schoff over there has whatever he wants in the playbook, and they do a good job too of just getting short passes, and they got enough athletes over there that can make a guy miss or fall forward. That's what kind of really hurt us. So we made them earn it. I feel like for the most part in the second half and things like that. But we just didn't do a good enough job stopping the run, and they did a good job of running hard and running through, again, like I said, through our soft tackles and making the plays.
Well, Coach, we're going to be there for you this coming week. We're very excited about it in Culver to see you take on the South Central Satellites, your rival, for another matchup. We will be going live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. That's right here on 99.3 FM and WKVI.com, streaming throughout the world. I'll reach out this week and hopefully stop by for practice.
Yep, sounds good, Mitch. We'll see you this week.
All right, that is head coach of the Culver Cavaliers. It's Austin Foust here on the Saturday Sports Line. We're going to talk to who they are playing next week. It's South Central Satellites head coach Buzz Schoff on the other side. Out of the gun, Jonas McEwen. Binion to his left. Takes the snap, fakes the toss out, rolls out to his right, looking for height. Nothing there. Now he's going to tuck and run himself. Diving for it at the pylon. He's got it. 2-point conversion. Jonas McEwen. Feel like I don't have a partner. 14-14. They're trying to punch one in here. 7 minutes to go in the ball game. Out of the gun, it's Rondo. Takes the snap, hands off up the middle. Clayton Stroud still on his feet. He's going to get the touchdown. Touchdown, Satellites. Clayton Stroud. Together we cry. Out of the gun, Jonas McEwen. Binion to his left. Takes the snap, fakes the toss out, rolls out to his right, looking for height. Nothing there. Now he's going to tuck and run himself. Diving for it at the pylon. He's got it. 2-point conversion. Jonas McEwen. He's going to take the snap, steps back, looks to throw, cuts up, breaks a tackle, fires. It's caught by Carter Holmquist. It's caught. 2-point conversion is good. I don't ever want to feel like I did that day. Take me to the place.
The Stark County Co-op has been a member-owned farm services co-op in Stark County since 1928. That's over 90 years, and they're still providing the same quality agronomy services to the farming community of Stark and surrounding counties. The Stark County Co-op is an LP and fuel provider. The Stark County Co-op purchases grain at both locations, Hamlet and Brems. You can reach them by phone at 1-800-782-3392.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI.
Pulaski Memorial Hospital. Quality care closer to home. Pulaski Memorial Hospital is all about community and keeping our community spotlight shining on the accomplishments of our youth. That's why PMH is proud to be a sponsor of our local high school sports action on WKVI, our community radio station. Pulaski Memorial Hospital. Quality care closer to home.
Now let's return to more of the Saturday Sports Line with WKVI Sports Director Mitch Columbi.
From shotgun, Rylan Rondo takes the snap, hands off to Stroud. Here he comes, breaks the tackle, crosses the 30 to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Satellites! Clayton Stroud on senior night, baby! Back from the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios, this is the Saturday Sports Line. You can tell in my voice I was very, very excited about last night's game. It was so much fun to do. The South Central Satellites beat their rival on senior night, the Culver Cavaliers, 30-22. That was the final touchdown that sealed the deal. We have head coach of the Satellites, Buzz Schoff, in the house. Man, Coach, I can say this because you won. That was fun.
Oh yeah, I mean, I told the kids afterwards after the game. I said, listen, that is what high school football is. What you were just a part of. You know, somebody's got to lose, somebody's got to win. But even if we lose that game, I'm still excited, right? Because that's the kind of game that I want to coach that we just haven't been in all season long. You know, it had every aspect that you want to see in a good football game. It had balanced offenses, a lot of throwing the ball, a lot of running the ball, and just a lot of decision making. Right? You know, as a coach, sometimes it gets a little frustrating. Like, why didn't that play work? Why can't we run that play? We should be able to do that, but in the end, you know, the chess game of football is really why you do it. You know, you don't coach football for as long as I've been coaching football for the 61-0 football game.
Those are rough.
You play it for the 30-22 game or the 28-24 game, or you know, that's why you go out to practice every day, so you're mentally and physically prepared for that tough game. And you know, last night, you know, luckily we were on the top end of that, and you know, I couldn't be any more prouder of our kids of how they just came out and they just weren't okay with losing. You know, we've had a lot of opportunities this year where we thought we were equally matched with teams, and we just kind of, you know, laid an egg. And then, you know, last night, kind of the same idea, right? I mean, are we just as good as Culver? Yeah, I think so. You know, if you look at some of the scores throughout the season, you know, a lot of them were similar. The only real difference one was their Caston score. They were able to play Caston tough, whereas Caston kind of took advantage of a lot of our mistakes. So that was kind of the decision, the kind of question mark, right? Like, are they as good as Caston? Are we going to have kind of the same outcome, or are we going to come out here and just play our game? And I thought, you know, we played not mistake-free, obviously, but we played good enough to win, and hopefully we can just come out and clean up all the little things that we made last night and clean them up, and then have another good time next Friday night.
Yeah, one thing that was interesting was both teams' quarterbacks had an interception last night, as they are both defensive backs as well. That interception by Rylan Rondo was our Stark County Co-op play of the game. We felt like if the Cavs were able to score on that drive to go up 20-14. If they were able to score on that drive, you would have started the third quarter behind. You ended up getting that pick six, going up 20-14, and getting the ball at the third quarter, and they were in the red zone.
Well, yeah. So that would have put them up 20 to 8.
20. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You're right.
that
You're
would've put 'em
right.
up 20 to 8.
You're right. You tied it up.
We get that pick six to make it 14-14.
Thank you.
Yep. And then we go into halftime at 14-14. Yeah. And I completely agree. Right. You know, they got there off of an interception that Ryland threw, and they got down there, and the kid made a terrific play, you know, a play that you don't really see a lot of South Central kids make, right? Hits the receiver in the hands, goes up, it's kind of behind him, and he just kind of palms it.
And he's fast.
And then he just takes off, and he's coming right at us, right? And I see an offensive lineman, number 62, who's kind of a good player for Culver, coming right at him, and Ryland's running right at me, and I see him coming, and I just yell, "You gotta beat him!" Right? Like, if you can't outrun their offensive guard or offensive tackle wherever he's at, you know, like, you got to beat him. And he ends up beating him to the corner and ends up taking it 91 yards, I believe it was. So you know, that was a big play for us, and I think you know, that whole first half, right, was something that we haven't had all season long. We didn't really we drove the ball a little bit offensively, but you know, our two scores came from a botched punt on the opening drive. Kid drops it, and we end up recovering it.
Yep.
And then we go in and score to make it 8-6, and then we get a pick six, you know, towards the end of the half to make it 14-14. You know, our special teams and our defense, that's what was getting us through the game at that point, you know. So, you know, at halftime, the message was simple, like, keep fighting, all right, but offense, I need a little more production out of you, all right. We are a team that can put up some points, and we're just not, right. We're just stalling out, and that was when we kind of just started leaning on Clayton. You know, give him the ball, let him do what he does, and you know, don't get creative unless you have to. And then, you know, when we got in situations where we could take a shot, you know, it's hard to call a play when it's 2nd and 9. You know, that's a hard play to call, or 3rd and 9. But when it's 2nd and 6, 2nd and 4, you know, look at your sheet and pick one.
Yeah.
You know, because you think you can pick up those 6 yards, those 4 yards in one of these two plays. So, you know, that was kind of the difference last night. Was, you know, and again, it's a chess match. So, you know, every play call matters, and every turnover mattered, every misassignment mattered, and that's what turned out to be a fantastic football game.
Yeah, man, scoreless in the 3rd, and then everything happened there in the 4th. We gave our Ashley Derrickson 5-star players of the game, I say plural, I pulled a play out of Chris's playbook. We gave it to all 12 seniors. You had a big senior class. Take the moment on senior night to talk about your seniors.
Oh, yeah. I mean, those are guys that, again, I mean, I've said it all week, right? There's a lot of them that have been with us. They've been 4-year starters. You know, Braden Lautenbach's a 4-year starter at right tackle for us, and he looks the part. You know, Colt Snyder, he's our left tackle. He's a 3-year starter, and he looks the part. And both those guys also play defensive end for us. And then obviously Clayton Strow is Clayton Strow. And then out on the wing, out on the, you know, wing parts, you know, you got a Carter Holmquist who's just you know, he's a matchup nightmare, right? You know, a 6'3" kid who can move a little bit, and then Brad Baczynski, he just, you know, he knows where the openings are at, right? He just gets open, he makes plays, and then he makes the first person miss, and then we got some newcomers with Braden Williamson, we got Cameron Schultz who's been a nice addition for us, and then a few other guys that just don't they don't get on the field as much with Gavin Simetz and obviously Ben Baczynski, he's out with a concussion, and you know, those are just guys that they're hard to replace just because they've been there for so long, right? You know, you think of a kid like a Braden Lautenbach, he's been a right tackle. right? So not a whole lot of people know his name. You don't say his name a whole lot on the stat sheet just because he's an offensive tackle. But if he was a quarterback or if he was a running back, he'd be one of those kids where you'd think that he'd been here for 10 years. Because he is that kind of impact player. He's a guy that. That's where you want to run behind. Yeah. He's 6'3", he's 240 pounds. He looks the part and plays even harder. He puts his emotions out on his sleeve and he plays with a lot of emotion. Yeah. But those seniors, I couldn't be any more proud of them. Right, that's how you want to go out on senior night, and that's the kind of game you want to show your friends that you can play. Right, nobody wants to watch a blowout game, and I'm just glad that we were given the opportunity to play Culver on senior night and live up to the expectation.
Man, it was a lot of fun. And one thing I wanted to bring up was, that opening drive for Culver, we talked all week about how both teams get the ball in the air. Culver didn't throw on that first drive. They ran the ball the entire time.
Yeah, and we kind of expected that a little bit, just because when you look at this conference from top to bottom, you get a lot of running, right? There's a lot of run game going on, and I think, and rightfully so. I mean, we couldn't stop the run all year long, and so, Culver, I believe, looked at it like, okay, you can run the ball on these guys. We can move the ball on the ground and not make those, not make those throws down the field, and they kind of drove it down our throat a little bit on that first drive, and because that's kind of the feel-out process, right? Those first drives are always kind of how quick is this kid? How strong is this kid? Because those are things that you can't catch on film, right? You might see a tall kid, but how tall is he? They thought they could move the ball on the ground a little bit, and they were able to do that. And so we kind of expected a little more of a run game out of them, and I always think in the back of my head, right, it's harder to throw on a team that throws.
Right, because they're used to seeing
the DBs are used to seeing throws in practice. It makes it a little more difficult to throw on that team because they know how to play pass coverage. They know how to play man coverage, zone coverage. They know where they're supposed to be. They know what kind of combinations can and will happen out of certain formations. So I think it's a little harder to throw on a team that throws a lot. And rightfully so, right? Culver's a throwing team. We threw 2 interceptions last night, or 3 interceptions rather. One was a 2-point conversion that's irrelevant. Right, we threw in 3 interceptions last night, and for the last 7 weeks,
right,
those are incomplete passes, right? So, but you got to be able to play. Both sides, right? You got to be able to stop the run and stop the pass, and I think that's one of the things that makes the Culver South Central game exciting is because you're going to have 2 balanced offenses, and you don't know what's going to happen next, right? We're not basing everything off of 3 plays or 4 plays out of 4. 2 or 3 formations, right? You're gonna get the whole gamut. So, so that's what makes it exciting.
You guys did a very good job of just forgetting what happened on the last play when Culver had a big play. You guys just came back and fought like you talked about in practice of working on. Let the big play. If it happens, it happens. Just get back in it. We don't need to worry about things.
Yeah, and that big pass play they had to tie it up at 22. That was a defining moment for us. We've had those a lot, not for this team in particular, but through my 8 years as a head coach, we've had a lot of those plays, right? Where a team goes, we got all the momentum in the world, and you could kind of feel it like in the crowd when that happened, right? Everybody's cheering, everybody's up on their feet, and then they complete that long pass for a touchdown, and then you could just kind of feel the wind out of their sail, right? It just kind of got silent. And in my back of my mind, I'm thinking, all right, what team are we?
Yeah.
Are we a team that says, oh man, they're just, they had that big play, they're better than us? Or are we going to turn this thing around and let's drive down the field? And I told our front line guys on the kickoff return, I said, listen, this is a great opportunity for an onside kick. They just took the momentum away from us. All right. I would onside kick it right now,
So
or
you
at
were thinking
least
the same
pooch
thing.
kick. Yep, that's what I was thinking. And so they onside kick it, and
it didn't go 10 yards.
And it didn't go 10 yards, and we got a first year player there in the middle. He doesn't understand quite yet that that if it doesn't go 10 yards, you don't have to touch it.
Yeah.
So he goes and jumps on it. We're like, oh no,
Here we go.
But he was able to cover it up. Those are things we practiced in practice, right? He knows how to recover an onside kick. He knows what to do there. He just didn't understand the rule that if it doesn't go 10 yards, just let it sit there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So the kids making a heads up play in his mind. So he doesn't bobble. He doesn't do anything like that. So that was a great that was just a great overall game. Neither team played perfect, but I don't think either team expected to play perfect either. But being able to overcome the adversities throughout the game was just tremendous. You just saw in my opinion, two teams that haven't had any luck at all season long, and when things weren't going their way, they just fought through it, right? And they created their own momentum. Getting a turnover here, getting a turnover there, a big run here, a big pass there, a nice catch, a big tackle, whatever. When things aren't going your way, be that guy that's going to change the tide, and that was the message all week to our kids was just make a play. Make a play. And I can think of 3 right off the top of my head where kids made a play to impact the game. Well, Ryland's 91-yard pick 6. Carter Holmquist 2-point conversion in the left corner of the end zone, right?
Perfect spot.
Make a play, Carter. I said it on the head, say, make a play. And our coach was like, he did. and then the third one was actually Trenton Martin. On a fourth and 9, put the kid's 5'5" and does everything he can to get his fingertips on the ball and knocks it down at the goal line. Well, so that's a big play in that moment. That's a big play.
And there were a couple of fourth downs that your defense were able to hold strong on.
Yeah, obviously, we ended up. I think what we end up with 4 turnovers last night, 2 turnovers on downs. A fourth down stop down on the 28-yard line, something like that. That's big.
It's huge.
That's big. And then obviously the fourth down stop on 4th and 1 with a minute 24 to go in the game. So that kind of solidified the win for us, getting that fourth down stop right there at the end. You get to take a knee to win the football game. So our defense played better than they have all year long. Did they play perfect? No, they still gave up that big pass, but that was a kid trying to make a play.
Yeah,
he tried to make a play. They faked the jet. He comes up to tackle the jet, and here comes the receiver right over the top of him. So I can't fault you for trying to make a play in the moment.
Right.
You just got to understand that somebody else is responsible for that. You don't got to make every play. You just got to make your play.
Yeah.
So again, I'm very proud of our kids, and I'm excited that it's not ideal to play them back to back.
That's where I'm going next.
It's not ideal to play them back to back, but if it's going to be a game like that,
has anything changed?
I'm excited for it. Obviously, now you got film on it, and exactly what you want to do. Now you know how they're going to align to it, right? The hardest part for us going into last week is, our number one formation is wing trips, right? We got 3 to one side with a wing. There's nobody else that runs that. You can't get any film on how do they play trips? How do they play run and shoot? How do they play the formations that we want to play?
Against you.
And so, you get out there and you're like, all right, run a base play out of every formation just to see how they align.
They do.
And so now, and the same thing goes for them, right? Now they know how we're going to align to them. They know how, we're going to, what we're trying to attack and things like that. So now, it steps up the ante, right? Now you know exactly what's going on. You know now it's going to come down to execution.
And it's fresh in the mind, too. It's not like it was a game in week 3 or week 2 like last year.
Exactly.
It is 7 days ago.
Exactly. We're playing against the same 11 kids on offense, the same 11 kids on defense. There wasn't any injuries last night that were impactful, right? Nobody left the game. So, it should be the same matchup. Now it comes down to, all right, can our coaching staff, can their coaching staff find the wrinkle that gives them the upper hand, right? And I expect them, with the coaching staff that Culver has, they're going to find something, right? They're going to find a trick play. They're going to find another formation. They're going to find something that they like out of what they already do that's going to create a little bit of an issue for us. And that's our jobs too, right? But it comes down to, can our kids execute better than their kids?
Wow.
And and I fully expect another 30-22 football game, right? I mean, we're not going in this thing like, well, we beat them once this year, this should be easy.
That'll be all
right? No, we just made them a little more matter.
Yeah, well, and then Coach Foust brought that up. He said, hopefully history is on the Cavs side, is what he said, because last year they lost in the regular season, but they were able to get that win against you guys in the sectional round 1. What would be the message to your boys this week in hopes that doesn't happen again for you guys?
Yeah, so I think, obviously just a little difference from last year to this year, and it seems to be like that, pretty common, right? We there's been a few years where we beat them in the regular season and then lost to them in the sectional, but we've always played them week 2, right? So, you don't. Things change throughout the year, right? And so that's a little bit different because now, it's the exact same thing. And, do you say, Culver gets us when it matters, right? A lot of people think that the tournament matters more than, a conference game. Well, I want to win both of them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I went into last night thinking, all right, we gotta win this football game. 7th is not 8th in the conference, right? So,
and I could tell by your demeanor. You were serious, very serious last night.
Oh yes, I mean, listen.
I mean that in the nicest way possible.
I may take it a little more personal as far as the rival goes, right? I may be the force behind why it is that,
right?
And it's just everything just kind of matches up. I don't dislike anybody. I don't, I have respect for their coaches. I have respect for their kids.
You want to win.
I look at our schedule, and every year it's like, I want to win this football game.
I want to win this game.
I don't know why. It's just how it is. I think the internal force is because their colors are orange and black, and I'm a LaPorte guy, and I just want to take care of that, right? Like, it just frustrates me. So, I mean, again, it's going to be an exciting night. They're back at home. They're all right, what could we have done better?
Yep.
And you can't hold your hat on turnovers and mistakes, right? You gotta go in this game thinking, all right, we're not going to have those turnovers, we're not going to make those mistakes. So how do we play the perfect game and still come out on top, right? Because you can't count on the mistakes, right? Because those mistakes don't happen, and sometimes you don't capitalize on those mistakes. So it should be an exciting week of practice. And it's again, I mean, last night was a lot of fun. It may not have been the most fun football game I've ever been a part of, but it's definitely in the top 10, right?
It was fun.
So, and that's just a regular Week 9 game, right?
Yeah. And you got the first conference win of the season. You joined the HNAC this year. Congratulations on picking up an HNAC win last night, Coach. That had to have been at least something you were also proud about as well. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they always say, right, the first one's always the hardest, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
We got the first one out of the way, and hopefully we can build off of that going into the tournament, and then especially the start of next year, right? Let's not wait 8 games to get the first one again. Right. So let's take care of business from the top and just start playing good football. Let this be something that we can play with anybody if we want to, if we just take care of business, right? So our kids play tough. They always come out. They always come out ready to go. The thing about an underdog, right, is even when you knock them down, they don't stay down there for very long, right? They always build themselves back up. So, our kids are going to be ready to go. Hopefully, we don't get in our mindset, well, we beat them once, so, we can beat them again. No, you're going to have to bring your best. You brought your best the first time, and I expect nothing less than that. So, we'll be ready to go. And, obviously, Culver will have a little chip on their shoulder because nobody wants to lose, especially a game that you could have won. So, both teams are going to come out with their best, and it should end up being another exciting night. So hopefully both teams take care of business, and hopefully we can put on another show where people are excited about.
Well, we're going to be there for you. We're going live at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on 99.3 FM and WKVI.com, streaming throughout the world. Coach, I appreciate your time. We'll talk this week at practice.
All right. Thanks, Mitch.
All right. That is head coach of the South Central Satellites. It's Buzz Schoff here on the Saturday Sports Line. We are going to the Where Are They Now segment with Harold Welter up next. Don't go anywhere. Takes the snap, hands off to Stroud, trusting him, cuts up, gets the 2-point conversion. Oh man, 30-22, the Satellites lead with 2:40 to go in the ball game.
Stay tuned for more sports talk with Mitch Columbi and Chris McGowan on the longest-running high school sports show in Indiana, the Saturday Sports Line.
It's time now for Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half-century of local high school sports coverage on Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI. Today's program is brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox. Now let's meet one of the local high school sports figures from more than 50 years of WKVI sports and find out, where are they now?
Well, as we look back on more than 50 years of broadcasting high school sports in the Kankakee Valley here on WKVI, our guest is Keith Reinholt, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School, where he played multiple sports, and we call this segment, Where Are They Now? So, Keith, where are you now, and what are you doing?
Harold, I'm over in Warsaw, which isn't that far from Knox, and we have been here now since 1982, and we got a furniture store back in 82, and I started with my dad then, and I started as the youngest person in the store, and now I'm the oldest person in the store. So there's been some transition going on, but it's all good, Harold. But we like Warsaw a lot, and still a lot of people know, others just like it was in Knox. It's a little bit bigger, but we like it over here a lot.
Well, you were a multi-sport athlete at Knox. You played basketball, football, baseball, and going back in all those games all those years ago, Keith, which is the one that, after all these years, stands out in your mind more than any other?
I pretty much know that right away, okay? All right. My sophomore year, we played North Judson the last game of the season. And, of course, the rival is still there, but it was really big back in the 70s also, okay? And my freshman year, I remember going to the Knox-Judson game. I wasn't dressed on varsity or anything, but I just remember watching that game, and I was just kind of like in awe, like how big these guys were, Judson's guys. And Judson beat us over in North Judson that particular game, and that would have been like Doug Small's junior year, okay? The next year, Doug gets hurt about the middle of the season, so the next year, I'm the quarterback for Knox. So I remember the last game of the season, and I'm going to give you a particular play that really stands out in my mind, okay? The second quarter of that game, I was going to throw a middle screen to Brian Lawrence. And I back up, I jump up in the air to get over their lineman, see Brian right there, and when I throw it, one of their defensive tackles named Rick Saplanda, I think was his name, Rick Saplanda.
Yes.
He cuts in front of Brian, intercepts intercepts the pass. I get tackled, and I get up. Of course, my adrenaline's going like crazy. I get up. I chase Rick Saplanda down and tackle him, and he doesn't score a touchdown. Probably on around the 10-yard line. And so I go in, and that's the last play of the first half. I think we were losing that game at that time. We were behind. I go in the locker room, and I tell you what, I'm shaking. I mean, it upset me, this whole thing happening. So I go out for the second half, and this was an unbelievable play. They kick off to us on our side, or on our team, Wilbur Collins. They kick it to Wilbur. Wilbur runs the ball back for a touchdown. And my confidence all of a sudden went from 0 to a 10. And the rest of the game, we ended up winning the game. It was a really, really good game. And I don't know necessarily that we were expected to win the game, but we did. And that was one of the biggest wins of my career, that my sophomore year. But there was a big one my junior year and a big one my senior year. But I won't go into that.
Well,
I will never forget that play. And Rick picking that off. And luckily, Rick was he was a pretty wide body. He wasn't real tall, so that helped me, I think, to track him down. But I remember bringing him down. It wasn't easy. So he wanted that touchdown.
Knox had some pretty darn good football teams back in those days, and it got to be thin for quite a while, and in recent years it's turned back around. And you were fortunate because you played with some really good athletes in your high school career. Who were some of those guys? Very fortunate to play with some of these guys. And my junior year, we had like at linebacker, there was, and I know there'll be some I forget, okay, but Jack McCann, John Smith was a lineman, Bill Sanders was a tight end, Marc Small was one of the wideouts, Gene Novello, okay, was like the flanker, Phil Owens was the tailback, and of course Phil was outstanding, okay, and then Larry Mullins was fullback his sophomore year and did a really good job, but got hurt quite a bit, couple times his junior year. So Dave Ritchie had to be our fullback, and then of course there was John Salyers, Tom Marsh, Rusty Port, my cousin Larry Chisholm, Steve Brook. We had about 28 guys. Mike Klozeski was really, really good. I probably didn't pronounce that right, but he was a really good offensive and defensive tackle. Goodness, I don't want to leave anybody out because these guys mean so much to me. Anyway, it was a good group of guys, and our junior year, that's when they had 3 classes. We were Class A, and our junior year, we were 8-0. All we had to do was win out the rest of the season, and we were in the playoffs. And we went up to Rensselaer, and we played really poorly up at Rensselaer, our 9th game of the season, and we lost. And I didn't have a great game. A lot of our guys didn't play. Our defense played really well, though, because it was a 7-6 game. But we lost that game. Then we came back against North Judson the next week and beat them pretty bad that year, or the junior year. But what a great group of guys. I have so many good memories of these guys and all the great time that we had. Coach Reisner, this was his first year as our varsity coach. Right. And man, he worked our tails off. And, so we worked hard, and he expected a lot. But, he was a good coach. We had a good staff, and we had a great season that season. Growing up, Keith, in Knox, who were some of the people who were like your role models or who helped you be successful in athletics?
There were so many people. I go back to playing Little League baseball, as a young guy, starting at 7 or 8 or whatever you start. I did that all my years, and so although my dad coached me most of the time that year, but in senior league, Bill Byers, and Bill worked at Napa. Do you remember who I mean?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah, he was a good guy. I liked him a lot, and then I liked I like my coaches. I'm going to say a lot of my coaches too, okay?
Yeah.
And then I'll talk to a couple of my best friends, my really good friends. I'll talk about their dad. Coach Wilson, our sophomore year, Coach Samuel, then my junior year, Coach Reisner came, and we're still friends to this day. Coach Wilson lives in Warsaw, so that's unbelievable that I've got two of my coaches that you get to see a lot. Coach Slusher was baseball, and then, oh goodness, we had another coach. But anyway, we had a lot of good coaches that I really like. But I spent a lot of time as a kid with Donnie Carlson, and then his mom and dad, Ernie and Lois, were almost like another set of parents to me. And I spent a lot of time with Larry Mullins, and Glenna and Lester were like parents to me. I mean, they disciplined me. They, Larry's sister Vicky would keep me in line. I mean, it was pretty fun looking back. And then John Salyers, John's mom and dad. I know I'm going to be forgetting some names, but there's so many people that mean so much to me in Knox, and I will never forget my years. They were great years, and when I do get back there, it's like I just get kind of excited to be back to see what it's like to see the football field again, go down to the baseball field at the park. Harold, you were still a legend, but you were like a Redskin supporter. Well, I guess you had to be neutral, but you weren't. Well, you did a great job, but just a lot of people, Harold.
We're talking with Keith Reinholt, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School, here on our Where Are They Now segment, and we'll continue our conversation after this timeout.
Need a game plan that has your day covered from tip-off to the buzzer? Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox has you covered. Whether you like to start out with a caffeinated full-court press or control the tempo with a Subway breakfast flatbread, Osborne's Mini Mart has what you need. Don't get trapped in the corner with an empty stomach. Call a quick timeout and get 2 hot dogs. Visit Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox at the corner of US 35 and Highway 8 East to guarantee you win the day.
Our guest is Keith Reinholt, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School. Let me ask you this, Keith. What did you gain from being a high school athlete that has helped you be successful in life?
I think the discipline was a really big thing. Being disciplined, and the coaches, basically doing what you were told. But then the other big thing I think is really important is just the teamwork aspect. I had one of my boys that developed a back problem in 8th grade, and he never got to play sports again, and he was very, very disappointed. And the thing that I was the most disappointed about is there's something about being on a team and being around the guys and the camaraderie that goes along with having teammates that Trevor never was able to experience. And I really feel like that is a really big thing, learning how to be a good teammate, learning how to support your teammate, learning how to be a friend to these guys, and putting others in front of yourself. And I think I really learned a lot of that with athletics. And we had good competition too. So I was very competitive, like so many of my teammates, and we wanted to win. No doubt, we wanted to win, and we gave it 110%. But I think even that competitive part, I think I've taken that with me in my life, because I'm still that way. But then also high school athletics also got me to college, because I played college football at Taylor University. I was a starter my sophomore year at Taylor, and that was good. I was able to bring some things over with me from high school right into the college scene. And Taylor's a small college, so right. But I had great years at Taylor too.
You talked earlier about how, as a young boy, you really got affected by that competition and a Knox and North Judson rivalry and all of that stuff. What advice would you have for young athletes today who would like to have some success like you did as an athlete?
One of the things that would come to my mind at first is just the practice part. As kids back in that day, we played ball most of the summer, and the thing different now though compared to how it was when I was a player there, when football season was over, it was pretty much over back then. You started weightlifting in the summer, but the sports now, they don't have as many rules and regulations as to the time factor that you can be. So we did a lot on our own at that time. But I would say just the practice part was a really, really important thing for us. And learning the discipline, being around others, you just learn to be a good teammate. And I think you can carry over a lot of what you do with sports into other areas of your life. So I'd just like to thank you. It's an honor for you to ask me to do this, hearing your voice. And I know you're not as young as you used to be, but that voice, it just brings back so many memories.
Our guest on Where Are They Now has been Keith Reinholt, a 1978 graduate of Knox High School. Join us again next week on the Saturday Sports Line for Where Are They Now?
Where Are They Now? A look back at more than a half century of high school sports coverage on WKVI has been brought to you by Osborne's Mini Mart in Knox.
Join us each Saturday morning on WKVI for the Saturday Sports Line and worldwide on WKVI.com.
Time now for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week, given in memory of Tyler Roth, a 2001 graduate of Winamac High School who died as a result of an auto accident 1 week after his high school graduation. His legacy of hard work, outstanding citizenship, artistic success, and super athletic performance lives on with this award given every week to outstanding student athletes from the 8 schools in the Kankakee Valley. Today's award is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac, and we'll tell you who's earned the Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week after this word from Web Printing.
Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack and signs of all kinds in Winamac is where all of your printing needs can be met. Whether it's paper, garments, or signs, Web Printing is your full-service printing solution. So if you're in need of embroidered or screen-printed garments, tickets or programs for your event, or documents for your business, Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack is the place to go. For the quickest service, best prices, and best quality, it's Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac.
Our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week for this week is Berndt, a member of the volleyball team at Culver Community High School. Brynn is having an amazing season for the Lady Cavs volleyball team. She has helped the Cavs to a 24-5 season as of right now, probably the best in Culver history, head coach Berndt told me. She is on the verge of cracking 1,000 career kills, as she had 369 here in her senior season up to this point. She also recently signed her letter of intent to continue her volleyball career at Indiana University Kokomo, as she is the daughter of Brett and Andrea Berndt, and we congratulate Berndt of Culver Community High School, our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week. Brynn will receive a certificate, a history of the award, and a t-shirt commemorating her achievement, and will also be a future guest on the Saturday Sports Line. She will be eligible for our Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Year award later this spring, which carries with it a plaque and a college scholarship, compliments of WKVI and the family of Tyler Roth. The Tyler Roth WKVI Athlete of the Week is brought to you by Web Printing and JT Shirt Shack in Winamac. I'll get with Miss Berndt this week, as that is another Saturday Sports Line down and in the books. Man, we have so much fun doing this show each weekend throughout the school year. That's why it is the longest running high school sports show in Indiana, thanks to our very own Harold Welter. Thank you for tuning in each weekend. All the excitement for your local high school sports in this area is right here at KVB's WKVI. I'm going to get on out of here. I got to enjoy my weekend. You do the same. Until next week, keep up to date on the sports checks. Follow us on all of our social media sites, on Instagram at WKVI Sports, on X, formerly Twitter at KVB Sports, and on Facebook at Sports to the Max for all Kankakee Valley Broadcasting sports content. We'll see you next week. I'm Mitch Columbi. The tradition continues.
From the Pulaski Memorial Hospital studios of Kankakee Valley Broadcasting's WKVI, you've been listening to the Saturday Sports Line with Sports Director Mitch Columbi and Sports Analyst Chris McGowan.